If you had to name the most powerful Magic card, what would you choose? The Power 9? Soul Ring? One with nothing? When you think of the most powerful Magic cards, many of them existed in a time where Magic was still in its infancy. Card balance was still being refined. It's not often a modern-day Magic card can stand up with these staples of the older formats, but sometimes magic happens.
Who's that
Magic card? Enter Up the Beanstalk. Since it was printed towards the end of 2023, it has dominated the standard format, was banned from Modern in just 3 months, and is seeing play in Legacy and even Vintage, alongside the original Power 9. It's also a brilliant card in Commander, by the way. So join me as I expose one of the most powerful cards ever printed and show you how to break this card like the pros. At face value, Up the Beanstalk is a deceptively simple card. For 2 mana, you can play this enchantment to draw a card. It's a fair effect that is universally helpful in almost any deck. Being an enchantment also means this card is marginally harder for some decks to remove, as it provides its secondary effect. And this is where the real value is. Whenever you cast a spell with 5 or more, you get to draw another card. It's in this effect that this card has flipped Magic on its head. You see, Magic is a game of cheating. Not by physically breaking the rules, but rather by bending them with powerful synergy. A key trait of some of the best Magic cards is their ability to cheat on mana. This can be through generating mana or by reducing the cost. Up the Beanstalk uniquely rewards players who builds decks that do the latter. In Simic, for example, Up the Beanstalk is a popular card to include alongside cards such as Tolarian Terror, a 7 mana creature that is often played for as low as 1 mana. Let me reiterate, running these cards together, you get a 1 mana 5/5 with Ward 2 that draws you a card. It's interactions like this that make Up the Beanstalk a card in a league of its own. In this same deck, you can also run Eddie Merc Crab, another creature that can be cast at a heavy discount, and even on your opponent's turn. It doesn't just stop there. This effect isn't reduced to just creatures. Plenty of instants, like Leyline Binding and This Town Ain't Big Enough, are expensive spells, able to be discounted simply by playing the game. Hell, This Town can even be used to target your own Beanstalk, which you can then play again to draw another card. Opponents hoping to deny you can't easily stop you from getting value either. Up the Beanstalk's cast trigger means countering the big spell you're trying to play still draws you a card. Blue players looking to return the card to your hand before you can get value out of it are still denied because you can simply play the card to draw another card. Now that we understand the impact this card can have, where do we play this? If you're a Commander player wondering why you don't see this card everywhere if it's so good, you might have already figured out why. It's because this card is a build-around card. Unlike other staples of the format, or game changers, as I guess they're called now, you can't just jam this into any deck in green. You need to pair it with cards that can activate off of it. Let me be clear. This doesn't make the card any weaker. Doing this just requires a bit of knowledge that turns your deck into a machine that can passively keep drawing cards every time you cast something. Some of the most popular and powerful decks Beanstalk thrives in include Anima and Henzi, which reduce the cost of expensive creatures, allowing it to proc Beanstalk easily. Magnus Lucia Kane and Zaxara, who is able to generate mana to cast cards with X in their cost, and also in creature-type decks, such as Pantlaza, Eulalek, and the Dragon, where the cost of these creatures is usually very high on average. Some other examples of where this card shines: we just saw the Standard Pro Tour, where the players in the Grand Final were both playing it alongside the Overlords from Duskmourn. You can cast these Overlords for their cheap impending costs, but because the mana value of these cards is 5 or greater in all cases, that's right, you guessed it, you can trigger Up the Beanstalk. It also triggers their board wipes, their removal, and unless your deck plans to beat them before turn 5, there really isn't any other creature-based deck that can consistently compete with the sheer staying power Up the Beanstalk decks have. It generates so much value, in fact, that players not playing aggro resort to milling out Beanstalk players in order to beat them. In a few weeks, it may even be banned from Standard for the undeniable staying power it's giving decks. This wouldn't be the first time. It was banned from Modern, as I said, only a few months after its printing, where it was used with the Evoke Elementals, which can be played for no mana as long as you exile a card from your hand. This exile effect was supposed to be a heavy drawback to essentially getting a free spell, but Up the Beanstalk effectively mitigated and outright overwrote the drawback on these cards, which is why it, with one of the main offenders, Fury, were promptly banned. Though it looks like this card is starting to get clamped down on in Constructed, nothing is stopping you from adding this to your Commander deck. So the next time time you're looking for a powerful upgrade to your deck, skip the $50 card draw staple and try the Beanstalk for your deck. You won't be disappointed. For those of you still watching, thanks so much for tuning in. This is the first of a potential series where I cover underrated, unappreciated cards that Commander players may not be familiar with, that Constructed players are definitely sick of seeing. If you liked this video, please let me know what cards I should cover next. I'm always happy to hear feedback. Thanks so much to everyone who's tuned into the channel. It's been so awesome seeing this grow. We've just passed 50 subscribers. Hooray us. Look for more to come. Till then, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.